But yeah, he took all the top executives and held them, and has held them. They're probably still being held there now. This has been, I think, 8 years now. They've been held in a thing called the Hold, kind of a communal prison cell, where they literally they're fighting for their own individual personal survival. But that survival is related to pleasing the savage, essentially. It's a case of David Cook gave, she actually made a deposition once she got out, that she had been stood up in a bin, being hazed, she's a lesbian, been beaten, had her fingers broken, this kind of stuff. This is all good. This actually, I'm sorry, this is not fiction. This is actually happening. This is happening right now. Physically tortured, by the group of people who were also being physically tortured by each other. This is, I don't know how to describe it.
It sounds as if they're almost incapable of thinking.
Well, they're completely destroyed. They're broken people. I mean, these people are broken people. I found it heartbreaking. I actually knew a lot of those executives and some actually.
And self-survival. The only way I can survive is to hurt somebody else.
Yeah. Oh, and this is, I'm going to go once, but this is one evil organization that should not be existing. It should not be allowed to exist. I'm sorry, but there's a thing called cultural relativism, and that is a very powerful. And there's a thing called cowardice, and there's a thing called I'll look the other way. I just can't risk my political career on this. But this is just, I'm sorry, this organization, it is nasty, it is evil. It's Al-Qaeda's puppies compared to these guys. I'm sorry. Yeah.
We'll take just 2 more questions, I think, and then we'll wrap it up. John will be upstairs in the Key Club having lunch if people want to pop over and have a chat or whatever.
Yeah, exactly. No, if you do. I'm sorry, by the way, I brought one of the books here. I sell them for $5 a shot with discussions like this. Special deal today only, you get 2 for $10. So, by all means, you can buy that. It's the 2008 version. It's just been covers a period up to then. So there we go.
Yeah, if someone wanted to infiltrate your organisation, and it's just they had access to resources, they were critical thinking, they had the ability to pass as a recruit, but without the actual vulnerability and stuff. How confident would you be that they could go in, climb through the levels, and actually come out?
I've seen it before. Really happened when I infiltrating the organisation. He lasted about 3 months before it was rumbled. Scientologists are really. If you join Scientology, you are investigated. How they do this, different ways of doing this. Some of the guys in the more arcane levels of the organization do this, but they find everything about you: friends, family, lovers, education, who your teachers were, who your anybody who joins. It is scary, the degree that they will dig in to find out who the person is.
If you passed, just say you passed all.
If you did pass, could you do it? Okay, you could, but you would have to go in from the very, very start, and you would have to learn to speak the language very, very quickly. The language is important, and the thought process is important. The people who are not Scientologists within the Scientology, who are in becoming Scientology, they stand out a mile. They're like red lights, I've seen it. I've seen guys try to portray. They stand out because Scientologists are kind of, if you like, stamped in a certain way. So they are a certain way, they think a way, they talk a certain way, their worldview is a very specific way. And so you can imagine going to a mosque in Tunisia. If you went in there as a Christian, and I'm going to infiltrate the mosque, there's an awful steep learning curve you have to do in order to be able to be taken as a brother Muslim. That's it.
They're saying that they generally target vulnerable people, etc., and it's mostly people coming to them.
Yes.
So do they ever set up things like a book club under false pretenses to try and get people to come in and then work through and see who is vulnerable and then bring them to another level?
Yeah,
To
not
recruit
necessarily,
them, or-
not directly. They tend to, the individual recruitment of the prospective Scientologists is not a straightforward thing. They do events and big tours and all this kind of stuff. A lot of the front groups that they do have, which is an awful lot, by the way, I work in Belgium actually on that. A thing called Youth for Human Rights. It sounds wonderful, absolutely wonderful. It's a beautiful thing, it's a beautiful video, the whole bloody lot. But it's a Scientology PR front. It's more important to the PR fronts than, if you like, direct recruitment fronts.
Yeah, yeah.
And so it's an awful lot of groups just say, what's that on campus? What's the day? Oh yeah. Something like Religious Freedom Without Frontiers, something like that, or Rights Without Frontiers, something like that. It sounds great.
How would you figure out if it is a Scientology PR group? How would one investigate that, or how would one?
How do you find out? Well, it was like, hopefully. I mean, I remember in Birmingham. I'll give an example of how you would. In Birmingham, one of the programs I was using with the Muslim youth groups and the Newtown system, which were Afro-Caribbeans, was Youth for Human Rights, which is very glossy, youth-only, very thing, right? That's even took bits out of the Charter of Human Rights Act and from there. And yet in there, there's whole sections that, you know, great, admirable people to set up as role models, right? Einstein, Martin Luther King, L. Ron Hubbard, you don't really put that. One of the MPs that I was really trying to get on board, very intelligent lady, I really wanted to do, very active in education, very active in child literacy and this kind of thing. And she was initially really liked what we were doing. Then all of a sudden she went cold on it, and I said, what the hell? She did the research. She just went down and said, Youth for Human Rights, that was Scientologists. Hang on a second, they're all Scientologists. Scientologists. Yeah. That was it. She was get the hell out of here. You know. So yeah, very slick PR, but you've got to look. I mean, it's like anything, you've got to look, you know, so.
Any questions?
Well, listen,
Well, thank you.
for John. Thank you.